My name is Dalpreet Kaur, and I will be leading the third session, the afternoon session. After this, there will be a fourth session as well. Today's session, we're going to have Dr. Gurmail Singh Sidhu, Dr. Amrik Singh, and Dr. Jasbir Singh Mann speaking. Dr. Gurmail Singh Sidhu will be talking about the Gadar media and literature movement. Dr. Amrik Singh will be speaking about Sant Teja Singh and the Sikh pioneers and the crisis of leadership. And Dr. Jasbir Singh, who will be our first speaker, will be speaking of reevaluating origin and inspiration of Sikh Gadar and the North American sabotage by Germans. Dr. Jasbir Singh Mann is an orthopedic surgeon practicing since 1980 and a scholar and writer on Sikh issues. His articles have appeared in a range of journals, including Nishan, the Sikh Review, the Abstract of Sikh Studies, and several books. He has co-edited 4 books on Sikhism and arranged many international Sikh studies conferences, including one in 1988, another in 1990, then 1993, 1994, 1995, 96, 2000, and then 2004. A recipient in 2001 of a Doctor of Literature from Punjabi University, Patiala. For his contributions to Sikh studies, he is also a fellow of the American Academy of Orthopedic Surgeons, a fellow of the International College of Surgeons, and a fellow of the American College of International Physicians. So if I can get everyone to just move forward, sit down. Let's all welcome Dr. Jasbir Singh.
Vaheguru Ji ka Khalsa, Shri Vaheguru Ji ki Fateh. The topic of my discussion is today, it's re-evaluating the origin and inspiration of Sikh Gadar, and 2 other important topics which I have not touched: the San Francisco trial, the Hindu conspiracy case, and the Germans, what the Germans did, why they did. They sabotage America. Not only they just instigated the Punjabis through Hardayal and Ramchandra and later on Berlin Committee, but they sabotage America. We are here now, we are part of this country, North America, either Canada or in USA. So it is a part of our history, very important, as Dr. Paul was already saying. All these things are part of our history because we are all North Americans now. So I will, most important part, I will start with that. What was the re-evaluating when the origin happened and what was the inspiration of those people. If you see and read the history books so far, you always see that there is a mention of story that the Gadar started only in 1913. And then they say the Gadar paper was first produced in 1913. Then they say the Hindi organization or the Sikh society, this Gadar party started from Astoria in 13 or 14. But my angle to show you by evidence, year by year evidence, that this story started from 1907. And there were 6 newspapers which were already started before 1913. And there were many organizations started before 1930, either in Canada or in America. And there was arms as well as explosives. People were charged for them, and these things, stories were already started from 1907 onwards on the North American scene. So I just want to tell you the difference between myth and reality. So reality is basically that it was a war against the emperor. And if you see the British literature, if you read O'Dyer's book, if you read the Rowlatt Act report, this always mentioned this as a Sikh Gadar. But as we read the history book, especially Harish Kepuri, they are trying to change our history. They are trying to always start the latest book of Harish Puri. He is the most important Sikh scholar on this Gadar history from Guru Nanak Dev University. His last book, which was published in last year by the National Book, which is a central government organization which publishes the books, he is trying to put all these things, trying to promote Hardayal Lala and trying to promote Savarkar, the other character, and try to downplay with the Sikh cause. But I am going to show you the evidence that whatever happened, whatever the things happened, the evidence is on the contrary. They are trying to say, some people trying to say that this was a Western thought movement, Western socialist thought movement. Some people say it was an anarchist movement. Some people will say this was an Arya Samaj movement. Some people will say it's Abhinav Bharat thought movement. But I will try to show you the evidence year by year that this was what was the inspiration behind of the whole movement starting from 1907 was inspired by the Sikh Gurus, by the Guru Granth Sahib and the creation of Khalsa. The thought why the Sikhs, there is equality, liberty is already mentioned in the Guru Granth Sahib. The socialism, the critical part is one try to understand. That was already ingrained. Although the Britishers were trying to exclude the Sikhs, trying to exclude them, so they should not get exposed to this socialism outside, what is happening in North America, the society, the freedom society, but they never knew. These people are only ingrained. They have Guru Granth Sahib 1604. There is no caste system, everybody is equal. Then creation of Khalsa. This was the really first independence movement which started. The French Revolution came after that. English Revolution of Equality came after that. But it was in 1699 already started by the Khalsa. So basically, there are three parts of my paper. I will show you in first three slides what I want to say. Then I will try to show the evidence, and whenever my time finishes, I will stop. My first part is the re-evaluating the origin or the inspiration of Sikh Gadar. This was the war against the king 1917 to 1918. Then before between 1907 to 1930, there were many constitutional methods were tried in North America, which failed. Then armed struggle, evidence and use of arms is seen in the history, but they tried but they failed. The communist influence, this is the most important part. When it started only in 1922 onward and really started after 1927. And then there is no doubt in England, 1905, Shyamji Verma started his Arya Samaji thought. Then Veer Savarkar came after that when he left to France. Then he started the Abhinav Bharati thought. That was Lala Hardayal was part, he took an oath of that. Then in France, Bhikari Kama and Sardar Singh Rana, they have a social democrat thought. But the issue is that although these things were starting from there, but they could not produce a movement. They could not produce a movement for armed struggle from England with these kind of thoughts. It was only the West Coast, where the history you can say from 1907 onwards, which was actually movement which falls within the orbit of martyrdom. That's what happened. That was the real inspiration. That which produced a movement for which all the British, when they say it's a war against the king, that what happened. Not working here. The second part of my paper is Hindu-German conspiracy. You must have heard about that. The important part of remember is that at the time the Ramchandra was killed in the end of the whole trial. The trial was between September of 1917 to 18 April, and then Ramchandra in the end was killed by Ram Singh. Most of the people believe that it was only the question of the money, that Ramchandra took money. There is no doubt he took the money. But the most important thing happened is that the Hari Singh Man's evidence that although Hari Singh Man left on April 23rd, 1915 with the arms. In Punjab, you can see Gadar failed in 19th February 1915 and the arms started growing from May 1915. But the Hari Singh Man's evidence shows that as soon as he shipped that maverick Ramchandra, he reported to the British people. And within 3 weeks, you can imagine on May 12th, the spring rise, the British ambassador writes to Brian, who is the State Department, that this thing is happening in your land. But this is what happened, that these people, Ramchandra, who is the party of the Gadar party, most important weapon, on one way they were playing the other game, the other way they were telling the people, British people, and you can imagine within 3 weeks, starting from British consulate, going to State Department. It's a very significant finding. And that was the reason, because that's what they thought, that these people backstabbed them. That was the major reason, in my opinion, why Ramchandra was killed. Then the question of German sabotage. The whole basic summary is that United States wanted to stay neutral in World War I. They just wanted to sell their arms, just to make money. But German wanted to become the superpower. And Americans spent $30 million for sabotage of the America. They did 50 acts of sabotage between 1914 to 1917. And they damaged America and Canada for $150 million. You can imagine this, what's going on there. The British has two goals: how to reduce the German and the German-American influence, and how to induce the US to World War I. The British need collaborators for inside information from German side who could provoke the US to jump in the war. Sikh sacrifice were used as a tool by British through their leaders. Sikh has leadership crisis. Dr. Amrik Singh, he has done detail, he is going to go into that. I just want to say just one paragraph. Sikhs has leadership crisis and their Brahminical thought leaders operating in the background had larger goals of securing the Indian subcontinent for Brahminical ideological supremacy. So the wish of the Gadarites was they wanted a republican like America, where everybody should be equal. But as soon as we all got freedom, they put under the Sikhs, Jain and the Bodhis under Article 25B, where they came under Hinduism. So that's what happened. These people, they did sacrifices. This was the first war against the India, against the British India. But Sikhs got, they were used by their leaders. German leaders, Ambassador Wernerstoff, he was the ambassador at the time, and then von Papen, he was a military attaché. Both of them confessed later on. Wernerstoff says it was an absolute wild goose chase, and von Papen says that the Germans never really expected Germany to successfully export revolution to India, but rather create a diversion of British effort. So the Germans were not serious. But in 1930, only things happened when all this movement was going here from 1907 onward. But once the money came from German through Lala Hardayal and Ramchandra, then what happened? The travel of the Gadaris become very easy. They could send all these Gadar papers very easily. But the only thing happened, but the arms never went to the Gadaris. Money never got to the Gadaris. All the money was collected from the German people by the Indian Berlin Committee, but they were never passed to the Sikhs. And the arms never went to India, although I will show you the connection with the Germans from November 13 onwards. But they promised they will fight with them, but they never gave any arms. So basically, no money went to the Gadar party people, the Gadari Sikhs, and no arms went to the Gadari Sikhs. And the poor people who went back, every CID was so strong here, and they all very got when they went to India. Some were incarcerated, some were later on, all the cases went along that way. They said 1906, the movement started when the Doabadi Act and the Canal Colonization Act, when they had a problem. At that time, they started having problem with the in Punjab, And then in North America, we can see in 1907, the Natal Act was passed, when the first time the voting right was taken from the Canadian Sikhs. Then 1907, Dr. Bellingham writes, you can imagine what happened here, Dr. Paul has already expressed that. And then British response, this is the most important slide. Why we are calling it international war? There was a pamphlet sent from North America, Sipahi na bano, do not become soldier. And the case was filed with the name of Guy, the Atwal and the Lala Pindi Das. Their publication was held in Rawalpindi, and they were put to jail for 5 years. What they were worrying, this was the main worry, while justifying the News Press Act, they reported safeguard against the contamination of the Indian Army. They just wanted the Sikhs from Punjab to go to the Indian Army. If you remember, there is evidence now that in the First and the Second World Wars, total Indian dies in British military were 160,000 approximately. And out of them, there were 83,000 turbaned Sikhs which died in First and Second War. So Punjab was a place where they were recruiting the Sikhs. But on the contrary, in North America, in Canada, these are the people, there was a policy of white immigration policy. Here they wanted to exclude them. That's why from 1907, that's what happened at the time. They wanted there should be no contamination. And this is the time I will disagree with Dr. Johnston that Dr. Hopkinson just came as a tourist. No, I think he was one of the spies. He came here at the time in fall of 1907. Then in 1908, first he put an article in Times of India. He had a big connection. He has a connection in Punjab. He has a connection in, you can say, in London, Ottawa. Not a simple, I don't think a simple immigration officer can have kind of connection. Then he was first made as a translator and sent to Honduras. So it's not as simple. When he later on got money, when he died, everybody knows he got money from India. So you can't say that Hopkinson has no connection, he just came as a tourist or just like the other people came. No, the evidence shows that he was a part of the British Intelligence Committee. He had connection with everywhere, very strong connection, and everybody was listening to him. 1908, then you know that ethnicalism started, continued general very fast. I will go fast over this slide. Then this was the first time Sikhs formed to fight back and stay back and build the Gurdwara. Professor Teja Singh played a very important role to revert the Honduras plan, and our friend Dr. Amrit Singh, he is going to speak on that subject here. Then first, Padesi Khalsa paper was produced in Gurmukhi by Hira Singh, but before then Circular Azadi was started by Puri in California. Then you all know Herbert's speeches, then Harnam Singh Sari and Guru Dutt formed the Hindustan Association. So these associations were started forming before. It was not only since 1913. Then in November 1499, 2 bombs were thrown at the carriage of Lord and Lady Minto in Ahmedabad. In 1909, Morley, who was the Secretary of State in London, he was saying that there is a social propaganda in Vancouver and there is a consequent danger of East Indians being imbued with social doctrine. So you can imagine, Morley is the Secretary in London for India, Minto is the Viceroy in India. So these people from 1907 onwards started worrying about the contamination of the army. That's why they took all the measures. That's why the people, they start policing all the political people here around California as well as in Canada. Then we already know that they started this Swadesh Sevak in 1910, then Vancouver again in 1910, Sundar Singh, they made another Hindustani association, then 1910 Khalsa pamphlet. So the literature, then in 1911 Kankoji finishes the diploma from Mount Tempest military and he started Indian Independence League. This was also an armed movement. So you can see the armed movement starts even in 1911. Kankoji was a great guy. His last book written by his daughter now, Savitri Kankoji, and he never wanted, he said he will never beg for pardon. We all know that Lala Hardayal begged for pardon. And this was the guy, he clearly said to his parents that he will never beg for a pardon. Jatinder Singh Hundal is going to tell us about what happened to Lala Hardayal, why he got the pardon. The other question is that this directory is shown by Dr. Johnston. Lala Hardayal's name is not in that list. The question is simple, because he was not a Gadari. Otherwise, all the Gadari, simple people, names are in that list, if you see that list, okay? And his name is not in that list. Then the issue is basically voting rights and the wives. And Puni told that story that ladies were not allowed, and first two ladies came with all those kind of things. Later on it started, first the Japanese, the Chinese came, but later the rights were given to the Indian. So you know, vote and rights and women, they are very important. That was the part of the movement at the time also. And in 1911, they wanted to make a military. They want to go to military because there were no jobs. But they tried, the Captain Gordon says these are good people, they have good service for the king, they should be put into military. But this idea was not allowed by Ottawa. Then Sansar newspaper started in 1912. Then again the Teja Singh, they went to, this is the constitutional efforts which they made by Sundar Singh and as well as Teja Singh, as well as other one priest here. Then this is another JMG. They were talking about something here. Then 1930, it was only in 1930 then the Hindu Hindustani Association in Portland, various meetings were held. We all know this meeting about that. In 1913, then Gadar English and Gurmukhi and Urdu started by Hardayal and Ramchandra. And let us see now. In November 15, the first side, Germans have a great sympathy with our movement and liberty because they and ourselves have a common enemy. In future, Germany can draw assistance from us and they can render us a great assistance. And December 31st, the first Sacramento meeting, you can imagine the consulate, so the German consulate was sitting on the stage. It is 31st December 1930. And this was the consulate who was charged later on the Hindu conspiracy case. Then the 31st December 1930, this is when the Hardayala said, finally Lala Hardayal told the audience that Germany was preparing to go war with England and that it was time to get ready to go to India for the coming revolution. You can imagine how he can know 6 months before the World War I. He was part of the system. Then Hardayala also read the book of General Berhardi. Germany was expecting that when they want to bring a revolution in India, only the Bengalis and the pan-Islamic movement people, the Muslims from India, Muslims from Middle East, they will get together, and the Bengalis. They never thought that Punjabi can do anything like that, okay. This was written by General in 1911. But ultimately, neither Bengalis could do something. So it was only the Punjabis on the west coast, the people who have been suffering here, and the movement went from 1907 onwards. That's why it brought this movement for independence here. I'm not saying that this was a religious movement. I'm just saying that this was the inspiration. The inspiration behind them was there is a suffering, there is no equality, there is a humanity degradation, those kind of things, and there's no liberty. Those were all the things which have been ingrained by the Sikh Gurus, from Guru Granth Sahib, that were ingrained in the Sikhs. That's why the movement was successful in West Coast. But there was no Bengali. Later on, Bose came and other people came, but only there were very few, Sriyal and other. But only most of the people were from the West Coast, and their inspiration was from Sikhi. The First World War, again, shows when the people went on 29th August on the ship. They said they will give the arms to them, they will give money to them, but no money went to them, no army went there. Then this, you can imagine, Santokh Singh is this Gadar Party secretary, 1914 to 1926. People are telling him, history is being written that he became communist. In 1922 he went there, okay. But the fact is that although he went in 1922 to Russia, But but he started his Kirti paper from the Sikh Missionary College, Amritsar, by the SGPC. They gave him a room to start that paper. His banner was "Apne hathi apna aap hi karj swariye," and he always used to choti the bead of Guru Granth Sahib. You cannot tell them that he was a communist or anything. Even in 1926, until his death, he was part of the. He followed scriptures. This is his first "Apne hathi apne aap hi karj swariye." This is the first paper when they brought it. And then again in 1926, from Santokh Singh's book, this is the article, "Ubal di deg vich baitha Allah da noor." In 1926, Santokh Singh is writing this. And again, he never forgot the "Jao to prem chilan ka chao." So you cannot say that he became communist or anything. Problem came when he died. When he died, Sohn Singh Josh, who became the editor after that, actually he changed this. You can imagine he can write things. The first issue of Kirti had come out. This is from the book of Sohn Singh Josh. The first issue came with the Sikh religious ritual. A shabd from Sikh scripture had appeared below the title of the issue, and on the top was the quotation from Guru Granth Sahib, "We shall fulfill our task with our own hands." I felt that this was not only odd but also wrong. Why this basis in favor of Sikh religion, Kirti? Then he changed the banner line. But he does not remember. Sohn Singh Josh had a problem with the Akali leader Tara Singh. Because they split, then he changed the whole thing and changed the banner of this paper. But he does not remember. He should know at least that Sikhism is a universal religion. It is not only for the Sikhs. This is again communist influence started. Ratan Singh Janala mentioned the Gadar Hindustan, October 1929, that after 1925 efforts were made to revive failed Gadar movement. And here this Sohn Singh Josh, takes charge of Kitri and changes this headline. Again, the Sohn Singh Pakraj, the first president, we know that he was the Namtari before he came here. And there are 9, in his biography, there are 9 talks from Guru Granth Sahib. Then the two important are very well, why the movement failed. He sports with this quote from Guru Granth Sahib, then only those who joined Gadar, who considered death as a life, to live as a sleep, as a life of death. Again from Guru Granth Sahib, he quotes that. He was the president of the Gadar party. You cannot say he has no Sikh influence. This shows that he has inspiration was from Sikhi. Santokh Singh, who was the secretary, his inspiration from the Sikhi. Then these are various shabds in Gadar ki Gunj. This is again, I think Gurmeel will tell you again, Panthi Pukar from there. Mare papiya tarkwar biro bole bole mukho akal kal singh. So they were all religious. Then again, on the people who are more ritualistic but they don't follow the Guru Granth Sahib, he said, Panch katte nahi, rakh nahi singh banda, gidar kahave gidi hove randa, singh naam sher da jo lade gaj ke, bani shiran, sir sirate jaake, jana paj ke, ਸਿੰਘ ਦੇ ਕਹਾਵਣਾ ਸੀਸ ਕਰੋ ਹੱਥ ਜੀ ਪੈਰ ਹਥਿਆਰ ਖੜੇ ਹੋਵੇ ਸੱਚ ਜੀ. So these are the important things of it. And the very important thing they given from this the last poem when Kartar Singh Sabha and those people when they were put into when they were hanged, that reads, I will tell you the last line, but this has been abolished from this from this poetry. ਉਹ ਕਹਿੰਦਾ ਸਾਡੇ ਵੀਰ ਨਾਲ ਤੁਸਾਂ ਨਾ ਫਿਕਰ ਕਰਨਾ ਵਿਦਾ ਬਖਸ਼ਣੀ ਖੁਸ਼ੀ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਫਾਂਸੀ ਤੋਪ ਬੰਦੂਕ ਦੇ ਤੀਰ ਬਰਸ਼ੀ ਕੱਟ ਸਕਦੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਤਲਵਾਰ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਸਾਡੀ ਆਤਮਾ ਸਦਾ ਅਡੋਲ ਵੀਰੋ ਕਰੂਗੀ ਤੂਫਾਨ ਗੰਦਾ ਵਾਰ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਖਾਤਰ ਧਰਮ ਦੀ ਗੁਰਾਂ ਨੇ ਪੁੱਤਰ ਵਾਰੇ ਜਿਸੇ ਚਮਕਦੀ ਨੇਕਸਾਰ ਮਿਸਾਲ ਸਾਨੂੰ. So this is what they were saying, that the ਮਿਸਾਲ ਉਹ ਗੁਰੂਆਂ ਦੀ ਲੈਂਦੇ ਸੀ. So we cannot say this is a socialist influence, this is a communist influence or a French influence. This is the tear, this is from their own mouths. This is the last poem when they read in September of 1915 when they were hanged in Lahore jail. This was when the Sikh Kamara, tomorrow people went there at the time they took a procession from with the Guru Granth Sahib only. There were 17 Muslims. They managed. They said they were not with the Sikhs. But you can say this is from the report from Kamagata Maru Committee in 1950 at the time. Then again there is other Shabd that when Beva Singh said we exported by the Guru Granth Sahib. Then Chindranath Sanyal, he went to Punjab in time. He tells about the Sikhs evidence that they were पाठ करते सी सारे गुरुद्वारे सी उन्होंने मिलते सी. Then Central League, they supported this. Then all these are the different kind of evidence. Dr. Jasbir Singh was selected one of the Panj Pyaras. There is so much evidence. Then these are the Granthis. There were 29 Granthis who were charged in Sikh Gadar. 16 Granthis, these are their names, who were charged, they were indicted. And these are other 30 Granthis who were not indicted, but they had cases against them. Then these are 25 list of 25 Gurdwaras. Then apart from Ranveer Singh, the only one person which supported Sikhs there was Ranveer Singh from Naranwal. So this is what I have been trying to say, is that the influence of this movement was from Sikhi. There are quotes from there, jab tak da waqt batit hoya vela aa gaya teg uthavne da. And all this evidence is there. I know my time is coming on. So this was basically Guru Granth Sahib. Sikh Gurus compiled Guru Granth Sahib in 1604 and Khalsa Revolution created in 1699. Suddenly there was existence of written evidence of teaching enshrined in Guru Granth Sahib promoting the value of human freedom, equality, which were already ingrained in the minds of the Sikhs. British never do that. They say only the social society in America, Canada will promote them. That's why they wanted to exclude them from here. That's why they brought Hopkins and all those kind of playing the game, then asked exclusion committees. But we can see they were influenced by Guru Granth Sahib. And all these papers, my paper, are, if you see sikhcentury.net, www, all our paper from Stockton Conference are there. There is a lot of evidence we are supporting by that. And history being created by authors like H.K. Puri based on secondary sources is misleading. The evidence shows that the Gadar movement between 1907 was a primarily Sikh movement. Scholars must take into consideration the concept of martyrdom and the 17th and 18th century Sikh history. Then again my conclusion is that this movement not only started from 1913, started from 1907. There were many organizations, 6 newspapers were before that. No doubt Shyamaji Burma and Sarvakar, they started this movement from Europe, but they failed. They could not produce a mass movement. So it was only the movement which was produced from Sikh martyrdom through the inspiration through Guru Granth Sahib. The Sikhs built up the Gurdwara from here, Vancouver, then in Stockton, then Epsport, then Victoria, and that was the Sikhi was the most important source for that. I don't have time to go to the other part of Sikh, the other case, as well as the German sabotage. But as I told you, our paper is on internet and www.sikhcentury.net. Anybody can read that. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa. Yeah, sikhcentury.us. And now they're going to put on this society's website also. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.